Yes, sir. We in an episode of Full Circle. What's going on, Rudy?
What's
Nelson, you on
going
the
on,
ones and
Mo?
twos?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How we doing?
Ain't nothing, ain't nothing. We're doing our first episode of Full Circle. Let me introduce my co-host, and we're gonna tell y'all how we met. I'm just trying to get this mic together. What's going on, Rudy? Rudy?
Mo, how you doing, man?
Everything's good, man. How's Arizona?
In Arizona, I'm in Phoenix.
What part? Explain a little bit about yourself.
Um, Mental health, recovery, adversity. I think when we met first back in junior college, back in 1998, we came across over at Arizona Western, and I don't even think you knew this at the time, but like I was a heavy drinker way back then.
I did. I knew.
You
But see,
knew?
you don't remember when we first met. See, you don't remember the Dick Tomey passing league. That's when we first met.
Okay.
And I was a senior, you was a junior. We wasn't in pads. We were just at the Arizona camp. And that's when I played corner and I had to go against you. You probably don't even remember. And that's how crazy this was. And we didn't even know our paths was about to meet. You know, I coming from Sierra Vista. I was at Buena High School at that time.
Yep.
And he was at one of these big powerhouses called Amphitheater. And today we could probably compare them to, what would you compare that to today? One of these preps, IMG of Arizona. That's where he was at.
IMG, or like the modern day of California. Amphi was in the state contenders every year back then.
Yes, they was. But go ahead, Rudy.
That's crazy. Yeah. So, you know, fast forward after college, working, my journey started, going into treatment and getting sober back in 2013. And that led me on this whole path of personal development and a passion for mental health. I've always been very vocal about it. So I've been, pretty public about my sobriety and recovery and when I relapsed and those kind of things. And as a cathartic and more of a therapeutic and trying to get my brand out, I released a book last year. I started posting these TikToks. And that's where I saw your channel, but I didn't know it was you until you actually messaged me after seeing one of my videos one time randomly.
So look, so now we about to break down the meat of this. Rudy said he was drinking in high school, y'all. Now, this is where we about to get to this mental state. We about to take y'all to the beginning of this. This is episode 1. How me and Rudy met. How me and Rudy, that's a tongue twister. How me and Rudy met.
Go ahead, get it out. Get it out.
Yeah,
get it
right.
Out.
I originally came from Florida, and I came my junior year to Arizona, and I came from a military mother, so it wasn't no drinking, but I did dibble and dabble with my own vices of marijuana, and she didn't know any of that stuff, and I had translated together. So he gets to Arizona, he gets his scholarship. Reason why most of me and Rudy are getting here because we was playing around in school, maybe, or when you have to go to JC in our era, you have to do something to qualify to get to D1. What was your reason, Rudy? Why did you end up going to Arizona Western?
I went to Arizona Western because I had a lot of offers out of high school, but nothing was a D1. It was D2, D3, NAIA schools. I was invited to walk on to Arizona. I knew Dick Tomey. I knew the receiver coach. The running back next to me, he was a parade All-American, McDonald's All-American. So he got all the offers and I was, the other back. And so I wanted to try my luck in JC first to see if I can get a full ride somewhere else. That's why I ended up in junior college was, by choice to try and get a scholarship.
Man, you bringing back memories, man. Now you was that big, tall, light-skinned tailback. You wasn't the receiver. You was like that. Now you're really making it down because in college it's different. You was a receiver in college, wasn't you?
In college, my first year in junior college, I was actually outside linebacker.
Yeah, you sure was.
And then I went to running back, but both years I was kick return. And then at Arizona and U of A in Tucson, I was a wideout.
Okay, so but at Amphi, y'all ran that 3 wishbone. I ain't gonna forget it. Now you bring back the memories.
Yeah,
it was like a wishbone. Yeah,
we had the fullback and the 2 and the 4. And I even forget. I think he was the 2 and I was the 4.
Okay, continue. I'm sorry. We just making y'all get to the meat of this. Go ahead.
So that was how I ended up, at Western was, and then a bunch of us actually from my high school ended up going there. But when I didn't get the scholarships that I wanted out of junior college, I called Coach Tomey back at U of A and went back and walked on. And I walked on actually in the spring semester and started playing at U of A in 2000.
And now this is crazy because I got to Buena because of U of A from Florida. Coach Akina is the one who put me in Sierra Vista, and since my junior year. So I came from Florida. See, back in those days, they had it where it was different, where you had to kind of like be in state, and they did ways to get you in state. So I stayed with adopted pretty much father, but he was my head coach as well. And that's how I got to that. But it saved my life, and I'm glad it did, because we're gonna get to why I did. So now I get my scholarship in Arizona Western, because Dick told me I had to I would have been a prop at U of A. That's where I was gonna sign at. I was gonna be a prop 48 at U of A. But then Coach Woodruff and Coach Akina, this is how I got to Eastern, to Michigan. They took a job at Michigan. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is so funny. I would have been there with you, but those coaches left and they came up here and took this job. So I came, that's how I got to Eastern Michigan. Now, so now we putting the puzzles together, and I want y'all to take this road with us, because we're from the same. This is my brother, but we coming from different lanes, and it's going to lead to the whole world of our whole platform. But we got to break this down like this for y'all can understand how we even got to here. So back to you, Rudy.
That's interesting. I was because when I got to Arizona, Dick told me was forced to resign. Potentially got fired. So all the coaches left, and that's why you went where you went, and that's where I was at.
And they all came with me, except Coach Akina with the Texas. So I got played at the end.
Okay.
Because of Coach Woodruff. I don't know if you remember running back Coach Woodruff. That's who became the head coach at where I was at, Eastern Michigan. And that was Tron Candidate and all them coaches. So he became the head coach. And then, I don't know, you don't know Jonas, who's also a coach. You're going to bring him up. He also was at Arizona. And
I know Jonas, the redhead.
Oh, yeah, Jonas, yeah. So Jonas was right there. Yeah, I'm tripping. So look, Jonas, now y'all got to forget, we talking about how long ago is this, Rudy? About 25 years?
27 years.
That's how long ago we talking about. So it's going to be some things that he's bringing up. Nelson, if you want to ask some questions, ask some questions. So Jonas comes after. I'm before you, Rudy. I'm 97. You 98. So I left my sophomore year to go there. So this is so crazy. We'll talk about this in another episode. I'm there a whole year knowing that there's new coaches coming. That's how crazy that was. But go ahead. Like, I'm all the way in Michigan knowing these coaches that I'm with, and he don't know he going to get fired. That's how dirty the coaching game was back in the day. Like, the DB coach at that time was from University of Arizona, and he knew he was going to get fired. But we going to get back to that. So you end up going to you coming to Arizona, Arizona Western from AmFi. I'm coming from Arizona Western from Boyna. Boom, our freshman year, you already been drinking, you saying you already been peeling it back. That's what you said. I've never in my life peeled it back, but them bonfires, but go ahead.
Well, it's the irony of it is my senior year of high school, we all made a pact to not drink during the football season. Okay. So we didn't drink during that season. We ended up going and losing the state championship to Mason Mountain View. But right when that ended, it was back on. And then as soon as I got to junior college, there was really nothing holding me back, because I had great parents and everything, but I was always very busy. And a lot of my drinking and the things that I did, they didn't come to light because I was always a great student. I played 4 sports in high school. I was, won all these awards academically and athletically, all throughout the state. So there was not a lot of consequences to it, even though I was still doing all these things. And my dad.
You had more freedom.
I had a lot of freedom.
And it was when I got to Arizona, my friends became like Rudy's. And that's the first time I hit marijuana because y'all had more freedom than I had coming from a military mom. You get what I'm saying? So being able to hang around the goody two shoes like Rudy over here, when I got to Arizona, they taught me stuff that I never even thought I did. And I'm coming from the hood. And I thought we was doing something, but reality, the kids with the money, they got real issues that I ain't even know about. Like, dang, you got too much leeway. But go ahead, Rudy. This is why I'm saying this, because I'm black, and you think black folks be getting fucked. No, we don't. He started in high school. Now I had a couple friends that did, but we didn't have the access. I think the money is where the access comes, and I felt like my friends who had all the money are having the more problems like Rudy.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because we didn't have any money. Like I went to AmFi, but we lived in a neighborhood right down the street with Section 8 housing.
Straight up. So I thought everybody with the Amphi was rich. Like that's like I thought that was the,
to a lot of people, Amphi we consider ghetto. Like in my high school, my teammate got stabbed 7 times in broad daylight during
at
high school.
Amphi?
Yeah, it was.
Wow,
it was like,
I didn't even know that all this time.
The Ritchie schools were like Catalina Foothills and South Point, but Amphi was there was gangs, there was thugs, there was drugs, there was a lot of bad stuff happening.
I didn't even know that. And that's another thing, when you come from Florida, that's why they made me go there. I looked at Arizona just like, this is a new world. It's not violent. You don't have all these super hoods, but again, it's Latinos, and that's where it changed with my environment. But this is why we having this episode, how our cultures collided. And go ahead, Rudy.
So yeah, I started when I was 14, and
14, bro.
I started drinking when I was 14. My sister was a senior. My sister was a senior. I would go hang out with her at parties, and
older sister.
I never, to be honest, like I just liked alcohol from the very first time I drank it. I got sick and all that, but as time goes, I wasn't covering up any kind of traumatic or any kind of abuse or anything. I simply just liked that feeling, and it never really. There's a story with I was in the high school dunk contest my senior year of high school, and my friend Mason came over to my house before that, and I'm sitting there. My parents out of town. I'm sitting there drinking beers, and he goes, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I said, "Just having a few beers." He goes, "Aren't you in the dunk contest?" I go, "Yeah, I'll be there." So I show up to the dunk contest after a few beers, and I start warming up. And long story short, I ended up winning the whole competition. But I just had I didn't have the consequences, and I was athletically gifted enough where it superseded the alcoholism at that point in my life. Eventually, it all caught up to me, but I didn't have any consequences up to that point.
Now, college, 18. Now he already has his vices. I don't have any. I probably had a little toke of the marijuana, but it was all under control. Was yours under control before we head off in the freshman year of college?
Mine was not under control.
It wasn't under. So you was already out of control freshman year, but you knew how to disguise it.
I don't even know if I could disguise it, to be honest with you. In hindsight, and to anybody that's listening, when the priorities start shifting, I was at a school to play football, and I based my schedule around what was easy enough so I could continue to drink. But there was countless times where, especially in the off season, when I was intoxicated during lifting sessions, during workouts. I remember power cleaning 300 pounds drunk, and almost falling over at one point. But it was.
I didn't notice. That's what I'm saying. I didn't notice Rudy was drinking. This is funny that he's telling me that now.
No, I don't think. Go ahead.
The thing is, we got out of school on Friday. We didn't have school Thursdays or Fridays, and we all kind of that's how I got introduced to it. First the bonfires, messing with y'all, and then Club La Fire. That's where it all started for me. I'm new. I'm being from where I'm from, I ain't got my parent or no one around me, so I'm able to get loose. Then it's 18 to drink legally. You get what I'm saying? So that was different. Yeah, so that was different. So I'm like, and I don't even like to drink. So I'm just peeling them back. Now, this is when I had to catch myself. Rudy said he was already in high school going. This is when I found out that drinking ain't for me. But I was getting drunk. And I would never forget the time that in my freshman year, sophomore year, I had to learn to control mine. But Rudy is telling y'all about someplace else that I always wonder, how the heck can y'all get like this? And this is why I'm having this with my brother, because he's breaking this down. This is starting from 18. Again, I'm a drinker. I got the same access he does and everything. But for some reason, it took him under. And let's talk about how it did your freshman year. Where did it all start spiraling?
It spiraled from when I first got there. When I got to U of A, I got DUI and got in trouble a couple of times over there. But even at Western and Yuma, it was just a reprioritization of football wasn't a priority to me. Class wasn't a priority to me. I was fortunate enough where I was able to get by still. But whenever I could, any kind of free opportunity, I was drinking. So the whole priority shifted, and you don't see it when you're in it. And especially in college, if you're surrounded by a lot of this stuff for the first time, you think it's par for the course. I didn't think I was really that bad because I was still going to practice. I was still playing. I was still traveling with the team. So the fact that, the night before we had those movie nights,
right? Yeah.
We'd go to Mexico and we'd come back and we were already, and I'm not going to call them out, but we had some teammates that, got into trouble in Mexico and stuff too. So it's little things like that. And the reason why I say this right now, because if somebody's listening and you're hearing this stuff, if it's creating some kind of insight, it's a time to check yourself.
Yeah,
because
that's the time. You're right. We got to catch it in the early stage. And that's the thing. Rudy, what was a lot for you? 3 shots for me. I'm done. So what was your tolerance? Let's talk about how did you get there? You had your vice of alcohol. I understand. But people, that's what I'm saying. People think because of their tolerance, they're not going to get there. Or I'm going to be able to quit. And I'm telling y'all now, kids, it's going to be time from alcohol to weed. If you do it too long, it ain't going to just be, I can do it how we was doing. I was in control of mine freshman and sophomore, junior year a little bit, but then it got out of control for me. But let's talk about your alcohol. So what was a lot for Rudy?
A lot was probably 12 to 24 beers. At this time, it wasn't really hard alcohol. It was just, beers, but a lot of them. But the one thing that you said right now was like drinking wasn't for you. I think because I started drinking so early, you go through these phases where, you get sick, you throw up, and then you kind of clear that stage, and then you just start enjoying the euphoria. So I didn't have a fear of alcohol. It sounded like you understood drinking wasn't for you and kind of had that healthy fear of it. I had no fear of it. It was quite the opposite. Like I wanted more and more, and as much as I can get of it.
And that's what we're trying to say. Everybody's body's different. You know what I mean? Some people don't react good to marijuana. Some people act. But what I'm saying is it's all about that vice. And we both have vices. And it really get out of control when we leave our parents and become college students, especially football players. Because for some reason, it's a macho thing. That's how I started smoking Black and Milds. I never wanted to do this habit. This habit was the worst habit ever. But for some reason, it was a dude named John Hall from Cleveland. And that's what was around me. Now I'm indulged in this Black and Mild marijuana circle. And I guess Rudy's circle was an alcoholic circle. And
I was smoking Black and Milds. Go ahead, Nelson.
Because
we drink 12 to 24, beers in a night.
Dang. Yeah, I can see it though. Like when we go out to them what was them, the dunes, they always pass you a beer. My Mexican and my white homies, here you go, Mo, take these. Me and Lionel chugging them back. And I'm telling Lionel, like, this nasty. And no, Lionel used to say, man, just chill, man. This is what the white homies be doing. So we used to do it. And then we'll leave and go get high. But go ahead.
Well, when I look back at it, I always enjoyed being like the man, so to speak. Like I was always, I had friends in every high school. I knew girls at every high school. We used to smoke Black and Milds when I was 16. We'd go pick up some girls. We'd go to the 18 Ender Club. We'd have a few drinks before we'd go in there, and we'd smoke Black and Milds in there. And I thought it was.
I'm about to change my mic. Keep talking, Rudy. Okay, y'all see, I've been holding my mic the whole time. Don't worry about me. I'm just gonna change mics, and y'all keep it going. Because I keep going out on me.
I think I got addicted to that feeling of being important because I had all my importance and self-worth wrapped around being an athlete. And then as soon as I lost that, because even in junior college, I didn't really play a whole lot. I played a little bit, but I wasn't a key player. And so as that started to fade, I was always good at being a party guy and drinking. So I chose to.
All right, I'm back. Can y'all hear me? I'm back. I had a little mic difference. Yeah. I was tired of holding my ear, so I had to switch. It's probably going to sound a little bit different, but at least I can hear y'all. Nelson. Okay, you doing good with the switching other things. Okay, so now by the time you're sophomore year, Rudy, how bad is it for you? Do you talk to anyone about it? And do you know that you need any help?
No, I don't talk to anybody about it. I don't think it's a problem still. I left Western and I came back to Tucson. I had already talked to the coaches. Arizona gave me a workout plan. I was still disciplined enough to, throughout that time to go out and do my workouts and lift and run and work on my sprints. And so when the time came, to walk on, I was prepared physically. But there was no consequences in being in college. I just thought it was par for the course against some of my teammates and my peers who drank like I did. I didn't realize.
Drank like a skunk. He was like you, and he was black. And I used to look at him like, how can he even do that? Change. Yeah, it's gonna change. Like I said. It's gonna probably be a change. Let me go ahead. Is it bad? Or okay? Let me go back to my I got you. I just have to use that. Chris McAllister though, I ain't gonna be able to hear. I'll be able to hear when she talk. I just switch back and forth. But when I'm talking, I'm not hearing y'all. But Chris McAllister could drink like a skunk like that, like. And I used to look at him like, how can you do that, running all day? And he's always say he ain't got no problem. And I think that's what really ruined him in the NFL. His drinking.
See, Chris McAllister, it's similar in regards that he was just a freak athlete. He would lock down an entire side of the field. So when you're so good at something, and this is a problem, in my opinion, with people who have a lot of money and no consequences, is a lot of the addiction, the vices, they get hidden because everything else overcompensates it. So for somebody who's very successful, it's easy to go out and do all these things because they're not really feeling those consequences. When you see someone on the side of the street, it's easy to say, hey, that guy's got a problem because they've got no money and no house. But I get calls all the time from people. I got one today from a friend who's extremely successful, millionaire, and they have some issues, but no one would know because they're not seeing that. And it's going to take a lot more for them to actually feel the consequences of it.
And now you're looking to that. Like something bad. Let me tell you something. It's all under control until something bad in our life happens. You know what I'm saying? It is what the drinking when it was after, when everything was over, and that's when my vice kicked in. That's when all the bad habits from college came back to haunt me. And it takes some of us down, and some of us can get through it. But those are the most important times. Rudy, go ahead and talk to us about that.
So fast forward and going back to when I was at Arizona and Tucson, I got my first DUI while I was at school there, playing football.
My biggest fear. That's a fear right there, boy. That was my biggest fear. Felony and a DUI. God, how old were you, Rudy?
I was 20 or 21.
What did you feel at that time? Was you pissy drunk?
I crashed. Yeah, I remember I was drinking all day long and went to my teammate's house later on, and he was like, hey, they tried to get me to stay. Right. And I drove and I blacked out and hit a stop sign. And I remember I got out of the car and I waited. Nobody saw me. I got out of the car and I waited for cops to eventually show up. And at that moment in time, I wanted to feel the consequences. I knew I had done wrong. I wanted to have some consequences. The DUI ended up getting dropped because nobody saw me behind the wheel, and my parents hired a lawyer for me, which I don't know if it's good or bad. They did what any parent would try and do for their kid. Right. But I just the hardest part about it is you can't really do a whole lot. Like nobody could really do a whole lot for me at that point because I wasn't willing to accept that it was actually a problem.
Was football over, or was it like towards the end? Like, what was for this to happen? What I'm saying was life at the top, or when you know what I mean? Like, was life going? Was it lifing, or was it going downhill at this point?
Life was fine. I mean, I was in college. I was playing ball, but again, I wasn't studying my playbook. I wasn't asking for extra reps. I wasn't staying after practice. So you talk about like opportunities lost. How many kids would love to be at a major Division I university? Right. And I had that, and physically I was as gifted as they come. Right. But I always use this story because one of my good friends, Bobby Wade, he played.
That's my boy, Bobby Wade.
Oh yeah.
He went to Desert. Didn't he go to? Bobby was supposed to go to Arizona for something. Something happened, but he ended up going to ASU or something like that.
No. Bobby went. He played at Arizona.
He did go to Arizona. That's crazy. I remember Bobby Wade.
So Bobby's still a good friend, and I always like to use him as an example because Bobby was extremely disciplined and worked hard athletically and physically. Like, he wasn't extremely gifted. He wasn't super tall. He wasn't super fast. He had hands. But if you took my size being 6'3", 220,
right,
and his size being 5'9", 5'10", 190, on paper, I would look like a better prospect. But his discipline and work just surpassed all of mine in skill level. But we both had the same opportunity, except he took advantage of his and I pissed mine away.
Did Bobby Wade end up going to, what he got in the league? Didn't he go to like Vikings or something?
He played for the Vikings, the Bears, and the Titans.
How long was he in the league? That's crazy. I forgot about
8 years, yeah.
Dang, that's crazy, man. Time flew, man. Bobby was at a school out there in Phoenix. I remember Bobby again from camp. Like, that's just a person's name. You just made me forget. He was one of my little camp going. Yeah, that's crazy. I remember him now. He was out there in Phoenix though. Yeah. And I ain't talked to him since probably like 18 years old. I was like 18 last time I talked to him. I just knew he was gonna go somewhere. I forgot all about it. I think he went to Arizona.
He went to Arizona.
Yeah. All right. So 2021, you get in this car accident. You're on this alcohol. Now, when do you know that, okay, damn, life is not lifing? This is what we need to get to. The life is not lifing. Like, well, oh my God, like, how did I get to this?
It didn't stop until my first stint at sobriety didn't come until 2008. Right. That lasted a year. And from 2009 to 2013, it continued on. But there was a point right after 2009 when I knew I was an alcoholic, but I couldn't get sober. And I went to meetings. I was trying all these things and it just would not click for me. It wasn't until 2013 when I got in a car accident, went to the hospital and basically died and kind of came back, that I chose to go to treatment. And that's when I fully accepted it and changed.
Was it, some people use religion. What made you just say, I'm a change?
I asked, in AA or whatever the case is, the way they say it is, higher power. The higher power can be anything. It doesn't have to be religious. To me, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus, and I leave it at that. I'm not super biblical.
Me neither.
But I believe there's something greater than me. And the best way I can explain this is I try to do things on my own, and it never worked. And so when I finally got down on my knees, accepted it, and I asked for help, and I gave them this issue, that's when I was able to stop drinking. So that's all the evidence that I need that there's something greater than me out there. Because when I tried to do it, I couldn't. And when I asked for help and I was sincere about it, I was able to. Mental legacy. So in 2013, when I first got sober, I got on this whole lifestyle of personal development and with coaches and books and all these things, whatever I could do to try and grow. Right. I went back to school. I got my master's in addiction sciences, went through some, clinical training.
Give me full screen now.
And mental legacy is all the skills that I've learned from all these things. Like, take into consideration that most people aren't going to read all the books that I read. They're not going to listen to all the podcasts. They're not going to maybe go to rehab and do all the things that I've done. So what worked for me, I put them in a set of steps, 7 steps that clearly outline. It all starts with accountability that I've used to one, have acceptance and be accountable, and then to actually overcome adversity. So the legacy part of it is when people want to give their kids or leave their family something, most people think of a financial legacy. I'm going to leave them X amount of money or, a trust fund. My belief system is that and this goes into a whole other thing that we can talk about, Mo, like what you talk about is people aren't spending the time to give their kids the emotional set of skills to overcome adversity on their own. So if you give somebody who's incompetent a ton of money, they're going to piss it away. So whether or not I leave my kids money is irrelevant, but this is something that I can teach them as far as being accountable, being responsible, having some emotional intelligence, developing some leadership skills. That's what mental legacy is. It's about leaving the next generation the emotional and mental skills to overcome adversity on their own so they can fight that, because we're not always going to be here. You're not going to be here for your kids all the time here.
Right.
And it's one thing that I want to leave that they can stick with them. So that's where mental legacy
now
is.
this what my man from LSU, they said he had the same thing, that he was going through a mental breakdown. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody know what I'm talking about? Nelson, do you know what I'm talking about? That's his name, Kyron Lacey. Now the story on him, Nelson, tell us the story on him. Break it down. I don't remember. Do you remember this story we talking about, Rudy?
Well, if it was a fatal hit and run, then somebody died.
Now, right there, this is why we stop. Will, going down that path, did you ever feel like that? To where you could be drafted, Rudy. You could be drafted and you take yourself out because of a drinking guilt?
Yes.
So this is true. Let's talk about it.
What's 100% true? When I got into medical devices, I got hired by this company called Stryker, who's arguably the top medical device company in the world. To me, it was like playing for the Yankees. This was what I wanted to do. I remember one time I was in my apartment in West Phoenix, and I was trying to sober up. And I was at a point where I was so low. I'm laying on the floor. I had probably pissed myself. The whole place was a mess. I mean, it was just a disaster. And I'm sitting there shaking and trembling. And I was thinking to myself, if I didn't have a family, if I didn't have a support system, I would just drink myself to death. And this wasn't the first time that I had considered drinking myself to death. This happened years before, where my brother actually had to run out in the middle of the street and come grab me, because my whole intention was to drink myself to death. And my brother actually saved me from that point. But when I
go ahead, continue. No, go ahead.
When I hear someone like Kyron Lacey, you're talking about two extremes of emotions. And this is one thing that I try and talk about often. And you see it in your videos all the time. And Hood News is people lack the ability to regulate their emotions.
Right.
And so someone was way up here,
issue.
And they were way down here. They don't have those coping skills. And that's the whole, but how do you get those?
I believe you get those coping skills by going outside. The internet is crutching us in a lot of things, and alcohol and drinking and, drugs. It's a lot, I think, that comes with it. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day. And that's why I wanted to talk about Kyron Lacey, because could someone stop them? At the end of the day, what would have came with that adversity? Would he, like, that's what I'm saying, could he even still be, like, I didn't understand that, Nelson. They drafted him, and it was going to wait on the sentencing? Put that up real quick, Nelson. My thing, why you putting that up, could this been prevented? Like, how do you prevent somebody? And it's another thing, when you get money and you a star like he was, I feel like it's the only thing to stop him was a crash, but I hate that just someone die. It's like certain people, you can't talk to it. I felt like that's what was wrong with Antrell Bates, and you was going to say he came from something.
I've gotten in 4 DUIs in my life.
And no one could stop you. Like, bro, no one stop.
The whole point of watch this clip.
Well, go ahead while he's pausing, but go ahead and just finish that little segment.
The whole point of talking about this right now is because you hope to prevent that by triggering it to someone before it gets to that point. Once it gets to that point, it's really hard. But
how do you stop a person from drinking, especially in football, man? Y'all don't motherfucking listen, man. All you football players, y'all, we've been through this, man. It's hard to stop. Like my boy Keywan, like Rudy said, nobody can stop me. It can't stop. I've been on the end of trying to stop somebody, and Rudy's on the end of no one can stop me. So now we at the point right now for you don't get like Kyron Lacey. This is how you got to fix this, especially when you notice it. First thing first, Rudy, did you notice it? Did you notice that you had an issue when you had an issue? Some people say you don't know. Just say that you was in denial or you just didn't know. Which one do it really be? You get what I'm saying?
So with alcoholism, in my opinion, is different than like drug addiction. Alcoholism to me is more genetic. So if somebody gets hooked on pills, like they have surgery, which happens all the time, and they get opiates and they get hooked on that, I think in that time you're more aware of the fact that you have that addiction. Alcoholism, because it's more gradual and it's more socially acceptable. I didn't know I was that bad until it got to a point later on in life, after college, and if I knew it was that bad, but I just wasn't.
What's bad though? One more time, like what is bad? I don't know what bad is. What is bad when you feel like I'm drinking 2/5 or what? But see, this is why I'm saying that, because I felt like I had a problem when I was drinking 3 drinks. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I felt like I had a problem when I was throwing up every night.
I think a problem in itself, just like the definition of a problem, is if you're doing something that's interfering with what, like your goals or, being a person of your word, whenever something is going to interfere with that in itself is a problem. If you're trying to lose weight and you can't put down the food, well, your food is an issue with you.
Right. Food could be a problem. Right.
If you're in a relationship and you're not intimate with your partner because you're watching porn, you're going to all these, doing stuff you shouldn't be doing, that's a problem. It's interfering with who you're supposed to be, or, who you want to be.
Who says it's a bad problem? When is it a bad problem? So you're saying we should never drink? That's what I'm saying. Like, when do we become a problem?
I'm not against alcohol, and I'm not this AA thumper who goes and preaches all this stuff. I think that there's a time and a place for certain things. I think the older you get, the more responsibilities you have. I think the time for alcohol and a daily routine becomes less and less. But again, if you're in your 20s, you got a good job, you're going out, you're not spending money you don't have. That's one thing I try and tell people, like, can you even afford to drink or smoke weed or do your drugs? Like, are you paying your bills? Because people always want to complain about no money, but I'll go to their house and I'll see a 12-pack in the fridge, or I'll see a pack of cigarettes on the counter. You can afford that, but you can't afford this. That's a problem. Right.
That's when I started noticing. But that's good that you said that. See, now I think we all come back into the same thing, and I think people get too deep where you can't cipher that, where your brain is too much. Where my little brother, we had to send him to rehab. You know what I'm saying? Because it became too much. I had to send him to one where you ain't got no access. I had to put him in jail. You feel me? Because he needed this, because it became too much living a lifestyle of no responsibilities. So he couldn't decipher there was no problem because he didn't have any responsibilities. You get what I mean? Yeah. So he's in it. He got money all around him. He's just enjoying the success of what's around him, and he has no responsibility. So I believe I could have been, that's why I didn't judge my little brother, because when someone is just feeding them money, you get what I'm saying? And he has no responsibility, it's easy to go off the cliff, because you don't know when to say, I'm off the cliff. You don't even know it. And my kids is what made me say, all right, Mo, now you still gonna be crazy, Mo, and you're gonna still be wild, whatever. But I got off a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because I started seeing a lot of Kyrie's. That's his name, the dude at LSU. That's why that hit home, No, I'm saying the alcohol is how he got the DUI, though, right? Correct? Oh, so it wasn't. So that's what I'm saying. So you mean to tell me he wasn't under the influence when he killed somebody? Wow. Okay.
And this is how I died. I love football more than anything else in my life. My natural talent made me a standout wide receiver at LSU, and my future was filled with limitless possibilities. But it all came to a sudden halt because of a huge mistake I made. Last December, I caused a car accident by speeding and illegally overtaking. A 78-year-old veteran tragically lost his life in the crash. As a result, I was charged and paid a $150,000 bail. But soon after, the NFL revoked my rookie card. Regret and frustration almost drove me into depression. After 3 months of struggling, I finally pulled myself together and prepared to attend the rookie draft. And just 2 days before the jury hearing, I made a second fatal mistake. I had an argument with my family and impulsively fired a shot at the ground. My family in panic called the police, and I fled the scene in my car. The police chased my car for miles. When they finally caught up to me, they found my car wrecked, and I had ended my own life before the crash. My parents were heartbroken, but still posted encouraging messages for other parents to care about their children's mental health. A single moment of poor judgment can ruin a person's life just like it did mine. This is how I died.
Damn. I thought it had to deal with alcohol, but that's crazy. Mental illnesses. I mean, nowadays I think everyone just anytime someone does something freak or crazy, it's mental illness. Like people just don't believe that people will just just decide like why is everything mental ill? If it's not out the norm, it's mentally ill.
Well, my opinion on that is I think things like depression and anxiety get thrown around way too frequently. I think a lot of stuff's situational, and who isn't depressed? Once in a while. One of my good friends, his brother's in prison right now for a manslaughter charge for the vehicular thing. I have a relative who served 8 years for alcohol-related, crimes and stuff. And I just got off the phone right now with a colleague whose mother is got put into a care because she has Alzheimer's, and it's one of those things where you start to realize in life that the happy times and the times that everything's going to be blissful is a lot fewer than the times that you're going to be going through adversity. But for a lot of people, especially if you've playing football for LSU, you've been the shit wherever you've been. You've been the man all through it. So have you really faced a lot of adversity? And I think that's we're not doing anybody.
That takes us back to what we started about. Yeah. They don't get no cognitive skills. It's like we're not exploring the world, Rudy. We explored coming up. You know what I mean? Like we've had people come to our door and we didn't duck and get scared. It was normal. We were able to communicate. I had to go up and talk to a girl. Rudy got to go push me. Go talk to her, dude. Go ahead. And we learned to get rejected and failures. And you know what I'm saying? I understood this. I learned how to take criticism, maybe because we played football. I could take someone yelling at me and calling me names. That's why I'm saying, like, you could call me nigger in my face. I'm so built off of it because I play ball. Like, I play corner right there. Like, I don't even, but everyone doesn't go through that. You know what I mean? And that's how me and Rudy became brothers, going down this line of discipline. That line of discipline, but the little bit of free time that they gave us, we could have ended up just like my man Kyron, because whether it's God, spiritual, universe, whatever, it's always been on my side. But what made me get my vices and get my stuff together, I've always been a hustler and always wanted to get my money. But what made me get my vices together is when I had my kids, and I knew that I don't want him to make mistakes that I make, and I want him to listen to what the fuck I'm actually saying. And I don't want him to look at me like his homie or any of that. So, at the end of the day, I can't just be this college person. And I felt like with money, I felt like, I can be this college person. Who's going to tell me I can't be? And that's another thing that we have problems with, where we have this honcho thing. And that's why I was saying with Rudy, how can I make you stop? And we're going to close it out with this. We want to be able to, talk to people about these things and say, hey, how do I get to a place where Rudy, he could be your brother? Like I said, I don't fault people trying to make them stop. So at the end of the day, how do we make this? How do we deal with these things that we go through as 18 to 24? And it really, like you said, it don't really be a mental thing. It's more of, we ain't been through nothing. We don't get to talk, especially as men. Who do we talk to? You know what I mean? Especially coming with no boy, a father in the house. Like, a lot of that stuff be a lot of it. I don't have anyone to talk to, so I bottle it up. Who did you talk to when you was in college about your problems? You know what I'm saying? You really hide it, kind of. It's kind of whack to even talk about it, for real, for real.
Separate being an alcoholic from just straight mental health. I think the two, they overlap a little bit, but the majority of people are going to have some kind of mental health thing. So from like a talking standpoint, I didn't talk to anybody at that time because I didn't really understand it. Right now, as an adult and a father, I talk to, one of my good friends, Mike. We talk about this stuff all the time about how we're trying to instill these lessons. I'm talking to you now about, my son just, had an incident at school, and we're going through all the emotions that go with that, and him getting back into school, and trying to be compassionate and empathetic, but at the same time, like, this is a learning experience for myself as a parent, emotionally and mentally, but also, for him, because I'm of that old school mentality. I went to a school just like you did, playing football, where people they grabbed your helmet and they told you stuff, and you had to overcome that, and it made you a little bit tougher, because the world, despite what people think on social media, is not a friendly place.
So what do we do for these kids? It's like these kids, not even just from football, I'm talking about to the streets, they crashing out. Something is going on where kids are not getting enough cognitive skills, social skills. They're on a social dilemma where something is obviously going on with our children. Like my homeboy, younger kid, he just took he in a scholarship and take himself out. Well, he actually took someone else. That's what I'm saying, bro. They're doing things that we would never do. And it's gotta, I mean, what do we do for him, bro? Like for instance, if your son make it to college and you know he didn't get raised like you, it's like, how do you protect his mental? Because you know the next thing on top of that mental, he's going to start drinking, he's going to start smoking, and then what?
I think my kids are still pretty early to see what's going to happen down the road, but it starts obviously with the parents, right? You can't teach something you don't have. So how many, you can look on TV and you see people popping off in a lot of your videos. People they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So how is somebody who doesn't have the skills themselves able to teach? And that's, a whole reason why I wrote the book as well too, so people could actually get those skills later on in life.
Right.
And then for the kids, if their parents aren't going to do it, then we got to go straight to them and talk to them about it. And hopefully they're willing to receive that information, give it to in a way that they're going to be able to receive it and kind of understand it. Because if we don't humble ourselves, the world will humiliate us.
Facts. And say it again one more time. Now say it one more time for the people in the back.
If we don't humble ourselves, the world will humiliate us. And that lesson will keep going on and on until we actually get it. Here's the biggest thing is if we actually get a second opportunity, because it only takes one thing to happen and you're all gone. I'm like so fortunate and I'm so lucky. I don't understand either. Answers.
Me neither, bro. I swear. I swear. I think because we're good people, and I think that the universe knows it, and it keep giving me chances, and it kept giving me chances, and I guess it kept giving you chances too, to a point. Like I said, I believe in God. I just don't believe in all these books. And that's what I'm saying. All the stuff that I went through, I have no choice but to believe in a higher being. Yeah. And I don't know how it works. I don't know how it get to him, but I know he's real. But I don't think I need to go any further than knowing that he's real. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't get into that. I agree with you on that point of it. I've got friends who are super Christian. I got friends who are super little. I'm kind of in the middle.
Me too. I'm right there where you at, Rudy.
It's a personal choice.
However it takes to get there. That's how I look at it. I don't care what you do as long as you in that humble place. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it. But we want to wrap this up. I just want to introduce y'all to Rudy. We're going to have a lot of things. This is our good rundown. You know what I mean? Our first episode of, say it again, Rudy.
Full Circle.
Full Circle. And I knew he wasn't ready. That's all I wanted to do. Yeah, I mean, to see my boy Nelson ready. We just wanted to get our trials and tribulations. Y'all gonna look at this and y'all can see where it all started. Rudy came out of M5. You from Tucson or Phoenix? Y'all right down below. You know what I mean? I came from Florida all the way to Sierra Vista. Y'all don't know where that's at, but again. But on our next episode, we'll get into a little bit more of that going off the comments and stuff like that. But on the next episode, we're gonna start bringing in Full Circle. We're gonna talk about topics, man, that very controversial. People don't want to talk about them, but they need to be talked about because these, like he said, these kids are not understanding what they're going through, bro. You understand me? Like people and parents, even single moms, they don't even understand how to even deal with what they're going through. And like I said, everyone needs help. Everyone needs a place to talk to. And we're going to have a platform that you could come in, get it in, talk about the real controversy with no shade and no judgment. You got to get it off, and and this is what we're going to do with that. You don't know what we might talk about. We might pop into politics. We might have a little sports. We might have a little lottery. Who knows? But this is Hood News Radio, and we present the Full Circle. And my boy Rudy, he's going to leave y'all off with this book he's got out of himself, a mental awareness. This is my mental awareness coach myself. He gets me together. My brother, Rudy.
Thanks, Mo. I appreciate it. Thanks, Nelson. This is the book. It's called Mental Legacy. It's available on Amazon, on Audible, on Spotify, and Apple Music.